Welcome, and thank you for joining me here today to learn a little bit more about Vocabulary Spelling City. My name is Sondra Pena. I'll be your trainer for this afternoon. And just so you know, I'm a former elementary school teacher myself. I taught 5th grade for about 15 years down here in South Florida. I dabbled in 3rd and 7th, but most of my time was spent in 5th grade. I think that's important for you to know because that's the perspective that I bring when I talk to you about the website, is that of a classroom teacher. So, okay, our webinar today is designed to meet the needs of our more experienced users. However, if you're a newbie and you found your way in here, please, no worries, just by all means stay. I would just recommend that you check out our VSC 101 webinar, which will fill you in on the basics. And if you haven't seen that one, you can access our webinars. If you look on the main page of the website down here at the bottom, it says 30-minute webinars to maximize your membership. You can check out our menu of live webinars that we have upcoming, as well as recorded versions that you can view on your own. Okay, so just to give you a little lowdown on what we're doing today. Today I am going to show you how you can use the Vocabulary Spelling City learning activities to set up a weekly language routine that best accommodates all the different levels of learners in your classroom. After that, we are going to talk about using Vocabulary Spelling City on mobile devices and how you can use our app to enhance that weekly routine. So that's our topics for today. So I'm going to go ahead and pop off the webcam at this point. So now you're just going to hear my voice and see my screen. And we're going to go ahead and get started. Okay, so to start us off, the first thing I'm going to do is log us in. So I'm going to go up here, click on login, got my username, type in my password. Okay, now when you log into the website, you are brought to your list management page, as you know, and this is where all of your word lists are. This is where we keep them. Okay, so more than likely in your classroom now, you have students who are studying a list of words on a weekly basis. Here's all my list of words, okay? More than likely you have students that are, studying a weekly list as well. More than likely, you also have students who are participating in individualized instruction. You're making different assignments for the different levels of learners in your classroom. Well, I'm going to help you today learn how you can use Vocabulary Spelling City to help you accomplish both of those things. Set up a weekly routine, which you're already doing, and make individualized assignments for your different levels of students, which you're already doing. So we're going to go ahead and take care of that today. Now, when you first come into the Vocabulary Spelling City website, there is a lot to take in. The site really is packed with so many bells and whistles, and we are constantly adding and improving features to keep up with user requests. So, I mean, this is wonderful, but it can give you that feeling of where do I begin? Well, I always like to begin my training sessions with a visit to the game page. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to open up one of my word folders down here. I'm going to select one of my word lists, and I'm going to head over to the game page. Now, our learning activities, they are at the heart of what we offer, so this is a great place to start in my eyes. Now, whenever I come to this game page, one of the first things I always tell the teachers is how important I feel it is for the teachers to play all of these games yourself. They're very different. I mean, each of these games really does have its own niche, and the key is to figure out what that is. Some games are wonderful for at the beginning of the week when you want to introduce terms to your students. Other games do a great job when you want them to practice or analyze, and others are most appropriate for application of knowledge or demonstration of mastery, and so forth. So, you have to figure out, where does each of these games fit into my routine? I understand that can be very time consuming, so I've kind of done a lot of the legwork for you, and that's what today is all about. So when I first started thinking about setting up a weekly routine for my classroom using the Vocabulary Spelling City activities, the first thing I thought about was, okay, well, first of all, how long is that routine going to be? Okay, well, I'm going to model for you a routine that is based on 5 days. And that's traditionally what most of us do in the classroom. You introduce the words on a Monday, They study them throughout the week, and you assess on Friday. If you do something different in your classroom, then you would just adapt, the schedule that I made to fit yours. Maybe you have, less time with the words or more time with the words. This example that I'm showing you today is based on a 5-day academic cycle. So the first thing I did is I thought about, okay, well, on each day of the week, what do I want to accomplish? On day 1, I want my students to be introduced to the new words. On day 2, I want them to analyze and practice with their new spelling and vocabulary words. On the 3rd day of my academic cycle, I want the students to apply what they've learned so far and, demonstrate to me, show me a little bit. Day 4 is all about reviewing and self-assessing, and day 5 is all about getting ready for that test, at the end of the week to show what they've learned. So that's the first thing I did, is I thought about what I wanted in my classroom. Then my next step, I'm sorry, just to mention, I will be emailing you all of the tables that you're going to be seeing today, so don't feel like you have to, hurriedly write everything down. If you see something interesting in one of my data tables, you will be getting emailed copies of these. Okay, so once I decided what I wanted to do for my academic week, then I took a look at the games, and I actually looked at them and thought about, okay, well, which of these games fits best into my day 1, into my day 2, and so forth. So that's what I did next. So what I discovered as I was playing all of these different games is that there are some games, like Spelling Teach Me, that are perfect for day 1. This is the activity that I always recommend to assign to the students fresh out of the gate. It's a great way to introduce new terms to the students. So what the students see in Spelling Teach Me is this column here, and they get their words, and they just click on them and hear them.
C-O-A-S-T, coast. Crabs are found on shores along the coast. Coast.
So, it's very interactive. The kids get to click on each of the words. They get a little check mark when they're done with it, but a great day 1 activity. Now, if I go back to my play game menu, then I started playing some more games, and I discovered another set of activities that were great for day 2, when I wanted my students to get in there and practice and analyze these words. So, for example, Aim to Spell. And if you're not familiar with this is one of our newer games. This one is super fun. I dare you to play it and not want to keep playing. It's really fun. So
Aim to spell. Aim and click to hit each letter in the right order to spell the correct time. The tide causes the ocean to rise and fall.
So in this one, the kids, they get to just kind of turn their little shooter and pick the words and spell them as they go. It's like, oop, there's my D, and you'll see the letters up here appear as they spell them, and there's a sentence down here at the bottom to help them. Again, it's perfect for, I don't want to talk over that audio, but it's just a really fun game for when you want them to practice their words and reinforce the spelling of those words. So Aim to Spell is a game that I put in my day 2 category. And then we have other games on day 3 that maybe you give a little bit more of an opportunity for the students to, show you what they know, what they've acquired. So sentence writing practice and paragraph writing practice are perfect for day 3. Sentence writing practice looks like this. It gives them an opportunity to write a little bit about each word. And paragraph writing practice is also great for day 3. And here's what this one looks like. They get their word list, and then they have to write their paragraphs there. So those, and just so you know, if you would really like to learn more about our 2 writing activities, they were actually featured in one of my recent webinars. So if you look on our training page, you can access the What's New with VSC. And here I really go into detail on how to use the sentence writing practice and paragraph writing practices in your classroom. Okay, but then moving on to day 4, I discovered another group of activities that was great for when I want my students to review or self-assess. For that, I would recommend checking out Wordorama. That's a super fun game. It's like a game show. It has a cute little host. The kids really get excited about playing these games, and that's what we want. We want them to get excited and feel involved. And then obviously on day 5 is when you would give them the test. So basically, what I wound up with was a selection of activities that were appropriate for each day of the week. So if you look at the table that I have up here now, here's my day 1, and these are the activities that I would give to my students on day 1. Day 2, here are a group of activities that are wonderful for practicing, reinforcing, and analyzing. Day 3 is all about application and demonstration. Day 4 is all about reviewing and self-assessing. And Day 5 is all about that assessment. So I broke them up into that 5-day academic cycle. Then I took it a step further. Now, if you think about the classrooms that we're faced with today, you don't have one level of kids in your room. Most teachers have multiple levels of students in one classroom. That's just the reality. So then what I did is I further took these activities on Day 1, and I thought about, which of these group right here would be better for my emerging spellers, readers, and writers? Okay, well, games like Read a Word, maybe word search. These are more appropriate for emerging spellers, readers, and writers because they focus more on oral language and letter recognition. Well, then there are other sets of activities that are definitely more accessible for more confident readers, writers, and spellers, such as maybe flashcards or sentence unscramble. So I grouped them that way, and that's what I did next. So if you look at my next table here, what you have is based on 3 groups of students and a 5-day cycle. So my Day 1, I have a group of activities that are appropriate for this group of students. Also on Day 1, I have another group of activities that is appropriate for another group of students. And also on Day 1, I have a 3rd group. So if you don't have 3 groups of students in your class, you would break these activities up into however many groups you have. I did mine based on 3 groups of students. If you have 4 groups of students, you would make it based on 4 groups. If you have 5, based on 5, and so forth. Okay, so basically, once I had all of this decided, I thought about, okay, what are my educational goals for each day of the week? Here are the games that match up with my educational goals, and I made my groups for my different levels of learners. Then it's just a matter of going into the website, accessing the assignments, and setting up those assignments and using my presets. And that's what we're headed next. So now that I've kind of made the decisions, now we're going to come back over to the website, and we're going to actually create some assignments and see how it works from there. Now, before we go ahead and create an assignment as a teacher, I'm actually going to log out as me, and I would like to log in as a student because I want you to see the end result before we go in there and start mucking about. Okay, so here I am logged in as one of my students. This is my student Max. Here's where the assignments are displayed. If you're not familiar with the assignments feature, they are displayed at the top of the student interface in these bright green bars. I have given Max access to his 5 assignments for the week. I've tagged them Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So Max can come in here, open up his assignments, and see if I gave him any special instructions. That's where it would be displayed. And he can access, here's another example of special instructions or accommodations, and then he can go ahead and start playing the activities. Now, keep in mind and remember that right now Max sees his Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. That's because I have all of these assignments currently published. So now what we're going to do, we're going to jump in as the teacher. And we're going to start manipulating and pulling the strings from behind the scenes so you can see what the effect is. Okay, so as the teacher, when you want to control assignments, you've got to switch your page. Right now when you log in, you're on list management. I'm not dealing with my word list right now, so I need to come up here to my toolbox, click on assignments, and now I have access to all of my assignments. Here are all my past assignments grouped in folders, as you can see down here. Now I'm going to open up this weekly routine folder and notice, here are those 5 assignments that I created for my student Max. And I want you to notice where it says yes, 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 yes. These are all currently published. That means that Max can see them. As I showed you, Max was able to see all 5 assignments. Well, you might not want Max to get in there ahead and get that far ahead of you. So maybe if I set up these assignments the week before, I don't want to give him access to the Friday assignment, the Thursday, or the Wednesday. Maybe I just want to let him do his Monday and then maybe get 1 day ahead of me. So I'll open up the Tuesday assignment for him as well. So now if I unpublish these, they're already still set up, from my perspective, but now the student can't see them. So this is one way that you can really manage your weekly routine, is by not publishing until you're ready. Now, let's go ahead and walk through the process of how you create an assignment and how you set up your presets. So let's do that now. These I've already done for you as an example. Now let's do one together. So if I would like to create a new assignment, I'm going to click over here on Create a New Assignment. And I'm going to walk myself through this 4-step process. Step 1, I'm going to pick my word list. So I'll just go ahead and open here. Instead of owl at home, let's go ahead and do good night moon. Now, step 2 is where you get to manipulate your presets as well. So in step 2, you're going to decide what are the activities that you would like to give to your students. Well, sometimes in here you might just be making like an assignment just once, and you're going to come in here and, oh, I just wanted to play Speedy Speller, and you pick it and you're done. You just select it and done. But if you want to use this in a more systematic fashion, as I'm recommending here today, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to set up, you're going to want to set up your presets so that they're in here for you always. So here are my presets that I've previously set up. And if you'll notice, they're day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4. So if on day 1, I know that I always want to give this group of activities to my students, then that's the group 1 that I would select. Day 1, group 1. Now, how do you set these up? Well, let's go ahead and set one up. So let's say, for example, we wanted to do our Tuesdays assignment. I'm going to practice with that one. So I want to give them missing letter, letter fall, hang mouse, and word pillar. That's the activities that I have decided that every Tuesday I want to give this group of activities to my group 1 of students. So I've decided on that. I put them in that correct order. Now I just click here where it says Save as Preset, and then I just name it. Now I named mine by day 1, day 2, day 3. You can certainly call it by the day of the week. You can call it anything you want. I'll model this one as Tuesday, group 1. So every Tuesday, these are the 4 games I want my group 1 to play. So now, when I come in here, instead of having to remember, oh, what were those 4 games I gave to group 1, I can just come in here, select that, hit done, and move right on with the process. So now, if I gave that group of assignments to group 1, now when I come down here and I click Sum, I know automatically that's group 1. So the group 1 activities matches the group 1 for the students. So I select my group 1, I click Done. Now, here is where I tag it. Now, if you're going to give yourself multiple assignments with the same word list throughout the week, the students aren't going to, know exactly by glancing at it that this is the work for Monday, for Tuesday, for Wednesday, for Thursday, especially if you open them up so they can see more than one assignment. So this is where I got the idea to go ahead and just do this. So there's no mystery. The kids can look at it on a glance. They don't really have to think much. They look at it and it's like, oh, that's my Tuesday work. And they just go ahead and do it. Do you want to add special instructions for your students? Yes. I think this is a great opportunity to give some accommodations. So for example, my group 1 is my struggling learners. So as an accommodation for my struggling learners, what I might have them do is use your printed word list for help as needed. So for some of them, I might give them a printed out version of the word list to use as a reference as they're playing some of the games. It's Tuesday. They're still in practice mode. This isn't taking away from their learning. It's helping their learning become more meaningful, so they're not just playing hang mouse, just stabbing in the dark, just guessing letters blindly until the mouse gets eaten by the cat. You give them something to hold on to, and then they can use that list as reference. They're still practicing the spelling. They're still reinforcing the skills, but they might just need that little extra bit of help. Now, activity sequence required. More often than not, I select yes for this one, because when I select the activities, I want the students to do them in the order that I say. Missing letter is easier for the students to play than hang mouse. So I put missing letter first, and then I build, down with those learning progressions. So choose the order of your games thoughtfully, and then you can control the order in which your students play right here. Then you go ahead and set your due date and hit save. So now I have this assignment and it's currently published, which we're going to leave it published because we're going to go back over to the student view and take a look at what we did. So I'm going to go ahead and log out as me and log back in as Max so we can see the effects of what we just did. So now when I log in as Max, remember I unpublished that Wednesday, Thursday, Friday for Al at home? So he doesn't see them anymore. Those assignments still exist from my end, and I can very easily go in there and just click that yes to a no, and then Max can see them. But it's a nice way to manipulate them, so now he can't get too far ahead of me. And here's that example assignment that we set up for Goodnight Moon. Here's that accommodation that we went ahead and put in for our, our struggling learners. And notice how each of these subsequent activities are grayed out because they have to do the order that I selected. Okay? Okay, so just to review what those steps are, again, to go ahead and set up your own weekly routine using Vocabulary Spelling City learning activities. Step 1, identify how many days your academic cycle will be. I showed you one based on a 5-day academic cycle. Step 2, identify your goal for each day. I said on day 1 was about practice or introduce. Day 2, practice. Day 3, apply. Day 4, review. Day 5, assess. Those were my goals. Identify what your goals are. Step 3 is to then match up the VSC learning activities with your identified academic goals for each day. Now this is the tough work. This is where I'm helping you because I'm giving you recommendations on the best way to use each of our learning activities, until you have an opportunity to get in there and play all 30 some odd ones of them on your own. Step 4, identify the groups of activities for your different levels of students. Think about the learners you have in your class. Do you have more struggling learners? Maybe you teach gifted students and you have more students who need, a little more challenge. So you have to adjust the groups to fit your needs and your students. Step 5, set up those presets under assignments management and, on the website like we just did. Step 6, create those assignments and publish and unpublish them as desired. And then step 7, if you need help, email me at sondra.pena@spellingcity.com, and I would be more than happy to help you with the process. Okay, so that's in a nutshell the first portion of our webinar, of using Vocabulary Spelling City as part of a weekly routine. Now, the next portion of our webinar is going to focus on our app. Okay, now that you know how to set up a weekly routine in your classroom, we're going to talk about how you can use Vocabulary Spelling City on mobile devices to enhance that routine. Okay, so the first thing I need to tell you about before we dive in and start talking specifics about the app itself is we're going to go over a few of the basics first. The VSC app works on many different mobile devices, such as iPads and a host of Android tablets, as well as a variety of smartphones. The most important thing for you to do when you're beginning working with our app is to make sure that you have our most updated version. The most updated version of our app is 1.9.1. I'll say that again if you want to jot it down. It's 1.9.1. So just to make sure that you're getting everything that we have to offer, go ahead into the App Store or wherever else you have to get your app from for your device and go ahead and make sure you have our most updated version. Okay. Now, the next order of business in dealing with the app is we need to distinguish between what you can do on the app as opposed to what you can do on your device. Now, this is what the teacher sees when the teacher is logged into the app. The teacher has access to all of her published word list as well as all of the learning activities. So you can go ahead and experience the games the same exact way that the kids experience the games, which is nice. So you see their perspective if they're going to complete an assignment on their mobile device. Now, can the teacher go ahead and manage her list? Go access your list management. Can the teacher create assignments, accessing assignments management? Can you assess writing assignments for your students? Can you access test results and graded spelling reports? Yes, you can do all of these things. However, that's on the device, not on the app itself. We are going to focus today on specifically what you can do with the app itself. But just so you know, you do have those capabilities through your device. Now, when the students log in to the website, this is what the student home screen looks like. Now, the students can do a lot using the app. Now, notice that I am logged in as a student. You'll see my name up here because I am the teacher, but you'll know I'm logged in as a student because it says Max over here, and I'm logged in as Max. Now, the first thing I want to tell you is that the students can complete their assignments using the mobile devices and the app. So you'll notice this green bar at the top. It mimics the green bar that we have on the site. If they go ahead and select that, it'll open up their assignments. So here's that week's worth of assignments that I had given to my student Max. So this is what he would see. And let's say, just for example, he wanted to access his Friday assignments. When you open up the folder, this is what it looks like on the app. And you can see that the second one is grayed out a little bit because I did have those learning progressions selected to where he has to do the first activity first. Now, it is very important for me to emphasize to you that all student activity is tracked when they complete assignments on the mobile device. And it does go to their student activity individual data pages. And here's just an example of one for one of my students, Bella Blue. And you will notice that when they complete an assignment, it says assignment in front of it. If they're just going on and doing an activity on their own, it still records it, as you can see. But it just doesn't say assignment in front of it. That's, you want to know, did they do an assignment or are they just practicing on their own? But all student activity is recorded and accessed from the test results for the teacher or from the student view records for the student. Now, other things that a student can do using the app is they can access their review list. You can help with that cumulative word study, especially around testing season, right? So if you open up their review list, they can go ahead and select one of their review list word lists, and they can play any of these activities that they like over here. So they would touch on this side, touch on this side, and then the game go ahead and starts for them. Additionally, back to the home screen for Max, students can also access their personal list. See their personal list folder right here. So if they go ahead and select that, here's one of my student Max's personal lists, words about plants to know better. So Max can come in here, he can take a practice test, or he can play any of these games. Let's say he wants to do some match it. So he would go ahead and touch the match it, open that up, and then we have match it sentences and match it definitions that are available on the app. If they play match it definitions, the game starts for them, and this is what it looks like for the student. They would just go ahead and touch and match them up, play the game. When they fill in all of their answers, they just go ahead and click submit. And if they get any wrong, those answers are removed. They have an opportunity to try again, fill in their answers, and check it again until they get it right. Once they get them all right, they finish up the activity, and they are reported their score or their results. Okay? Additionally to completing assignments, review list, and personal list, what your students can also do from the app is they can actually open up any of your published Word folders. And let's say they wanted to do a little math practice. They can just open up the math folder, select fraction practice. Let's say they wanted to do a little writing activity with the math fraction practice. They would select the writing folder, and they're going to do a little paragraph writing. They'll select the paragraph writing. The game starts for them. Gives them a little directions, lets them to know what to do if they need to save their progress, if they need to come back and finish the activity later. And this is what the paragraph writing practice would look like on the mobile device. Students would go ahead and type in their work, would display in this box right here. Here's the word list that they're required to use. They would go ahead and type in what they need to say. If they need to save their progress, they can do so. Or if they're done, they would just go ahead and click done. Then they're brought to the editing page, where it shows them the words that they've used, and then they would just go ahead and submit it to the teacher. And when they submit it to the teacher, remember, it does go directly into their student records. Okay, so just to review again what is capable with the app for the student. The students can access their assignments and complete them. They can access their review list, their personal list, as well as all of your published lists, and they can play any of the games over here that they can select. Okay, so I mean, I would recommend, getting in there and using the app on the mobile devices. If you do have access to mobile devices in your classroom, start small, incorporate them as part of a learning center just to get the ball rolling, and then just kind of take it from there.